So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Northwest Community Council for November 20th, 2023. We'll do the call to order and the land acknowledgement. We have Councillor Lovelace with us, Councillor Blackburn, Councillor Oathit, and Councillor Russell has sent his regrets. And our legislative assistant is Katie Campbell, and with her is Kim Johnson. Our lawyer tonight is Megan Carlson. Thank you very much. And from planning, we'll have Thea Langin joining us. The Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. I would ask now for an approval of the minutes of October 16th, 2023, please. Councillor Blackburn, seconded by Councillor Oathit. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of the order of business and approval of additions or deletions. Do we have any additions or deletions, Katie?
No additions or deletions from the clerk's office.
Thank you very much. Then we will have a motion. Councillor Oathit.
Do you want to move public participation up as usual or not? Oh, we can't do it before public hearing, can we? Right. Okay. I'm happy to move the motion.
Thank you so much, Councillor Oathit. A seconder, please. Councillor Lovelace, thank you very much. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Business arising out of the minutes, there are none. Declaration of conflict of interest, there are none. Motions of reconsideration, there are none. Motions of rescission, there are none. Consideration of deferred business, there is none. Notice of tabled matters, there is none. We'll now go to item 10, which is our public hearing. 10.1.1, case 23904, amendments to the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park Development Agreement on 1036 Lucasville Road in Lucasville. Is there any correspondence, Katie?
No correspondence was received for this case.
Thank you. Then we will now have our staff presentation provided to us by Thea Langin. Thank you, Thea.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of Northwest Community Council. My name is Thea Langin. I am the Manager of Planning Applications, and I'm here this evening to present case 23904 on behalf of the planner who did manage this file, Claire Toos, but she was unable to be here this evening. So bear with me as I present this. So today is a proposed development agreement that you'll be giving consideration to, which is an amendment to a development agreement. This was an application that was made by Brighter Communities and Consulting, and it's for a property at 1036 Lucasville Road in Lucasville. This, by most, is known as the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park, and the details of this proposed amending development agreement is to basically include the entirety of the existing sewage treatment facility within the bounds of the existing development agreement. So no real expansion is being proposed per se. It's really just an alignment of boundaries to ensure that the sewage treatment plant is within the existing development agreement boundaries. And in order to do so, this would be a substantive amendment to the development agreement. A little bit of site context. We are in the community of Lucasville, just off the Lucasville Road. And again, this is known as the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park, shown here on the slide. Just to zoom in a little bit, you'll see that you have the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park on one side of Lucasville Road, and the sewage treatment plant, which is shown here with the red circle, showing an access road and a long linear parcel that includes the sewage treatment plant facility that is associated with the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park. A little bit of planning policy overview for you. In terms of our regional plan and subdivision bylaw, that guides where population growth and investment of services like transit, piped water, and sewer should occur within HRM. And then at the next level, we do have the community plan, which outlines where, how, and what type of developments may occur. In this particular instance, we are looking at the Beaverbank, Hammonds Plains, Upper Sackville Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw, which is referred to as the community plan, and that will outline uses that may be considered by council following community consultation and council approval. And in this particular instance, that is the consideration of an expansion or an existing mobile home park or any changes to it. With regards to our land use bylaw, that's specific in terms of what approvals can go forward without council approval and do not require public feedback. In terms of our overall process, it's an amendment to a development agreement is what's being considered this evening. We've completed our staff review, our team review, public engagement, have completed a staff report for council's consideration. It has been brought to community council for first reading. I believe that was 2 months ago, and we are here this evening for the public hearing. There is a 14-day appeal period of council's decision. A little bit of a planning overview, and I will note that I think there's an error in the first part of the slide, which references municipal sewer and or water. In this particular instance, this area is reliant on an on-site sewage treatment facility, but there is municipal water that is provided to the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park. The property is zoned MU1. It's designated a mixed-use designation, and again, the existing use for the area in question is the sewage treatment plant facility. And for council's consideration, this can be considered under the enabling policy, which is referred to as P19. So in terms of policy consideration and what it is that council has before them this evening, so the enabling policy is P19. This is the policy within the community plan that allows council to consider proposals for an expansion to a mobile home park, which would include the inclusion of a sewage treatment facility, with any lands that are within a mixed-use designation, which are not otherwise permitted by the zone. So in this particular instance, council must give consideration to the following in rendering their decision for a substantive amendment, and that would be the potential impacts of the adjacent properties and land uses in the area. This slide here is really to give you kind of the nuts and bolts of this particular application. The parcels that are outlined in yellow and orange are the parcels that were included under the Timber Trails Mobile Home Park Development Agreement. And that development agreement had been considered and approved by Northwest Community Council in the past, and I believe there was an amendment. More recently, back in April of this year, the portions that are shown in yellow, we discharged the development agreement from those lands because they were no longer lands that were being used for the mobile home park. The only reason they were included originally is that was the land configuration of the time. So now that's not necessary. And that discharge had occurred and was approved by our CIO back in April of this year. So what council has before them this evening is the lands that remain within the development agreement are the orange ones. And now what we need to do is add the small little red part, which is a small portion which has part of the sewage treatment facility that now needs to be included in the bounds of the development agreement. So we'll keep the orange and add the red to create one new bounds of a development agreement. In terms of public engagement, we did send out about 445 notifications of this proposed change. The planner who had the file did receive about I think there was 2 emails and calls, and those were just really trying to reach out and get some clarification of what was being proposed, whether or not this was an expansion in terms of units, but that is not the case here. And we did have about 147 website views on our planning application website. So the staff recommendation is outlined in your staff report that you have in your agenda package. Staff is recommending staff recommended that after a review of a detailed analysis of the relevant policies, that it is recommended that Northwest Community Council approve the proposed amendments to the existing development agreement as set out in attachment A of the staff report, dated August 15th of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or clarification? Councillor Blackburn, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Thea. So I guess the other property, there areas of the property was discharged because it was just no longer needed for the development agreement. Is it sort of the same reason why we're adding this little slice in now? It's now seen that we need that part to completely make sure that the entire sewage treatment plant is covered off in the DA? That's kind of my reading of it. Am I off base at all?
Madam Chair, to the councillor, that is correct. The parcels that were shown, I believe, in yellow that were discharged, they revert back to the underlying zone, but those were parcels that were no longer needed to kind of support the overall Timber Trails Mobile Home Park. And yes, there was a portion of the lands that were associated with the park that were outside the bounds of the agreement, and all elements to the mobile home park need to be within the development agreement. So therefore, you're seeing that amendment change. And it's really just updating the mapping to have all the components of the mobile home park included under the bounds of the agreement.
So this is something that's not, it's very rare that we see. I mean, development agreements do morph and change over time if they've been in place for a long time. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, we do see these changes. We see changes to property boundaries and configurations. And in this particular case, I think really what it is there is a need to do an expansion to that sewage treatment plant. It went beyond kind of the original bounds. They needed to add more land. And this is more of kind of an administrative step to correct and bring all those pieces into the bounds of the agreement.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Seeing no further questions, the next item is to say to open the public hearing where the applicant can present, and the applicant is not present to present. So in terms of due diligence, Megan, do we open the public hearing anyway and say that we've done that, or?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let's open the public hearing. Thank you. Motion by Councillor Blackburn, seconded by Councillor Lovelace. So all those in favor? Aye. So our applicant is not present, so a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Lovelace and Councillor Blackburn. All those in favor? Oops. A little faux pas. We'll ask if there is any member of the public. There was no member of the public registered to speak. We do have a member of the public present, so I can call 3 times if you would like to present. The second time, would you like to present? Third time, would you like to present?
Public hearing closed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. So next we get to say, does staff want to respond to anything? And there's nothing to respond to. Any further questions of clarification? Nope. So, Councillor Blackburn, would you like to put the motion on the floor? Thank you.
I can indeed do that, Madam Chair. I move that Northwest Community Council, 1, approve the proposed amendments to the existing development agreement, which shall be substantially of the same form as set out in Attachment A of the staff report dated August 15th, 2023, and 2, require the agreement be signed by the property owner within 120 days or any extension thereof granted by council on the request of the property owner from the date of final approval by council and any other bodies as necessary, including applicable appeal periods, whichever is later. Otherwise, this approval will be void and obligations arising hereunder shall be at an end. I so move. Nothing further to add, Madam Chair. As has been pointed out, this is just basic housekeeping. Yeah.
I see no names on the list. We'll call for the question.
Question?
All those in favor, please signify by saying
Obligations? Katie, do we have any?
No correspondence or petitions were received from the clerk's office.
Thank you very much. And presentations, we have none. We may now go to public participation. Public participation section of the meeting. Speakers can participate for a maximum of 5 minutes. We do ask that you keep your comments respectful, on topic, and directed to the chair. The clerk will hold up a yellow sign when you have 30 seconds remaining, and when your time is complete, the clerk will hold up a red sign. Although no one has signed up, we do have a gentleman, Mr. Reagan, in the audience, in the gallery. So, Mr. Reagan, if you would like to come forward and speak, that would be great. nice to see you, Mr. Reagan.
Good evening, councilors. Before I start, I wish you all a Merry Christmas in case I don't see you next month. And there's a tree lighting in Sackville at 6 o'clock on Saturday, and I hope you can all make it. We'd love to see you. I have 3 questions. My first one is, I wish to thank HRM for doing the wonderful work behind the lions on the old Beaverbank Road. The mobility access to Sackville Greenway was simply awesome. Well done. Will you please pass on a thank you to staff? Wonderful job. And I have a question for information. Is there any update on Feely Lake acquisition by HRM from the province?
If you would like to continue, Mr. Reagan, we'll have councillors respond when you're finished, if that's all right.
And my third and last question is, as you all know, there's a floodplain zoning to be done. It hasn't been done, and it's been waiting 17, 18, 19. I understand HRM is doing other work, but is it possible to get the present floodplain zoned so we have that in place and that we can expand on it going forward? And with that, will HRM make a policy that all rivers in HRM, there's only 100, be fully floodplained? I believe this is getting hit of the present problem and really, really a good thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reagan. Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I can fill in some of the blanks for council and get some information to our friend Walter. Feely Lake, that study was, or that report was requested back in the spring, I do believe. I checked this morning, and it is still on the docket to be returned to council in January. So we're expecting that in January. The floodplain study got a great update last week that finally we are moving forward on this once again. Planning and Development has very wisely opted to use the services of Maureen Ryan, who is one of our most learned planners, and basically this is going to be her world for the next little while, is the floodplain study. So I think the next move will be to get you 2 crazy kids together so you can sit down and chat, and you know, she can get a sense of what you feel is needed, and she can fill you in on what's next. But it's no, it's a good news story that you know, there's a definite effort, a concentrated effort to move forward with that. So looking forward to getting an update, I think within the next 6 months. That's the last I heard.
Councillor, what I'm afraid of is that we have the new floodplain mapping ready to go to a zone.
Yeah.
Been waiting there several years, you know, 5, 6 years. We now may take 1, 2 years more before that zoning gets done. The delay, I think, is really terrible. Can we pass the zone now as is and then move forward with a present study, including the other rivers as we can?
And that is a question I will take to Maureen, for sure. Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll find out what is possible there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Blackburn. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. So for this second time, is there anyone in the gallery that would like to speak? And for the third and final time, is there anyone from the gallery who would like to speak? And hearing none, we can move forward on our agenda. Information items brought forward, there are none. And reports, we do have a staff report. 14.1.1, case 22097, request for additional time to sign the approved development agreement for an equestrian facility use at 96 Paquot Road, Hammonds Plains. There is no presentation, although Thea Langell is present should there be any questions. Councillor Lovelace, is this a motion you would like to put forward?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had my light on, but then it disappeared. Thank you. So I move that Northwest Community Council require that the development agreement for case 22097 be signed by the property owner within 480 days. That's an extension of an additional 240 days from the original 120 days and the previous time extension of 120 days granted by council on June 26, 2023. Or any extension thereof granted by council on request of the property owner from the date of final approval of said agreement by council and any other bodies as necessary, including applicable appeal periods, whichever is later. Otherwise, this approval shall be void and any obligations arising hereunder shall be at an end.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Blackburn. So I don't have much to say on this other than this, this community has been through an awful lot with the wildfire, with the flooding. I have absolutely no issue with extending this, and I wish them all the best in the work that they're doing moving forward. I certainly recognize, how much I guess recovery is probably the best word I can use. Recovery work is going on in this community right now. So Godspeed. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lovelace. No other speakers on the list. Call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? Hearing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Next on our agenda is motions, and there are none. In camera, we have none. Added items, we have none. Notices of motion? No notices of motion. So the date of our next meeting is December 11th, 2023. And now we can call for adjournment, please. So moved by Councillor Oudhead.